All right, ladies and gentlemen, some impromptu Q&A. We still have about 30 to 40 minutes left on my stream today. I finished Lego Star Wars early, which I thought I actually would because I knew I only had the final movie to do. And now we're going to have some just open Q&A with people on the stream and chat it up a little bit and see what people want to talk about, okay? Darkness says, am I going to play the Game Pass games eventually like Bassmasters? I'm sure we'll get to them eventually. The thing is, we're in a week of finishing up tons of content. This week I finished, just think about this past week, holy crap. I finished the Bugsnax DLC, we finished I Am Fish, we just finished Lego Star Wars. We're going to finish 2 more games in the next couple of days. And then what we got to do is sit down and say, what's next in regards to content? This morning on the pre-stream podcast, I talked a little bit about options for main game playthroughs, because right now all I've got is WWE 2K22 starting, and we have options. What I can do is I can start a new game, like a horror game or something else. We could rotate out and have Skyrim become a daytime stream. Now we have more time for night streams. If we have more time for night streams, now we have more time to try stuff at night. So we got to see what happens this week and see what people want. Okay. Sequel Ape says, regarding Super Thanks and the ginormous amount of work it would take to set them up on old videos, would I maybe consider going back and setting them up on my most viewed videos? Well, here's the thing. Super Thanks, what is it? It's a way when you're watching a video on demand on YouTube, like this one, to contribute to a content creator. If you're watching the on-demand video, there should be a super thanks somewhere below the stream or somewhere below the video window right about here. Or if you're watching on a mobile device, it should be right near where you click like or dislike. When you use the super thanks, you contribute to the content creator and you get a highlighted message so that it'll show up forever as a comment on that video as a highlighted message, okay? The problem is, number one, if the video has comments disabled, you can't do a super thanks because you can't leave a comment. That's number one. Number two, if the video is claimed by any third party for any reason, visual, music, YouTube feels, I guess, I'm assuming, there's too much of a legal issue there to say, oh, you can make money on this video with super thanks, but technically you don't own the content in the video. So they disable super thanks there too. So the reasons you would maybe be watching an older video of mine and there's no super thanks is because number one, there's no comments enabled. And number two, it's claimed by someone. All right. Now, you're mentioning, I'm trying to find your name, Sequel 8. Would I look into my most popular legacy videos? My most popular legacy videos are from before I turned comments off. I turned comments off around 2017, and I just turned them on late last year, so it was about a 4 to 4.5 year window where comments were turned off on DSPGaming. So anything before then has comments, and if you can't leave a super thanks, it's because it got claimed by somebody. But my biggest legacy videos have super thanks on. If you had suggestions like, oh, during that 4.5 year window, this playthrough, yeah, then maybe if you have suggestions, send them my way, and I can maybe look into going to manual videos and enabling the comments on them. But sadly, there's no blanket way to do it, which really sucks. Yes, Dying Light 2 is pretty much dead. Darkness, pretty much no one wants to see it at this point. I mean, it's from February. We're in May. And most people just don't care about the game anymore. It's completely dead. I mean, let's be honest here. The game was completely dead as soon as other new releases in February started coming out. Horizon Forbidden West, Elden Ring. No one ever talked about it ever again. It was like a dead game, like it never existed. Yes, we just beat the game, Malcolm. When's the next hardcore gaming season? Usually that's the fall. This year it was February, seriously. When will we see setup changes like a new PC and green screen? AMP-Z, like I said, I didn't want to consider doing anything like that until we finished Elden Ring. Like, this was the biggest playthrough. It took over 2 months to do. Once Elden Ring is done, all right, what I will do is start having open discourse with you guys about it, because I can't afford it. I told you guys, I can't afford upgrades. But we could talk about possibly doing special events for fundraising. We could talk about if people want to contribute. I already have someone who offered to maybe give some components for a new computer. Problem is, I haven't built a PC since the early 2000s, man. I don't even know if I could do it myself, you know? So this is something to start talking about soon. It is. It's something to start talking about soon. All right? But not yet. Is this t-shirt from Loot Crate? I think it is. I think this was a Fallout t-shirt from Loot Crate. I don't remember what it was supposed to be in tandem with, because I don't think they had a new game at the time. But I'm pretty sure this was a Loot Crate t-shirt. Yes. So yeah, I have no idea why people are concerned with me getting a green screen. Honestly, I don't think it's going to add anything. I've watched content creators who have green screen and who don't. And quite frankly, they both work. And as long as there's something to look at in a setup, I don't see the reason to have a green screen. I think some people just like it by default because so many people adopted it as something in their setup, but it doesn't really add anything in my opinion. It's not like when I'm streaming, my square is intrusive to the gameplay. It's not. So, no, I don't currently have any merch for sale. Maybe later this year I'll look into that. None right now. What is a CRPG? Would I ever play Baldur's Gate, Fallout 1 or 2? I don't think I've ever played a game like that, so I don't even know if I would like them. I'm not exactly sure what they play like. Would I ever get a G Fuel partnership? Probably not. Would I react to my old travel vlogs? I already have. When we were doing the retrospective events, I pretty much reacted to all my old content. And some of the things we did at first was the travel vlogs. Like, I remember that was some of the prominent stuff we did right off the bat. Was going and recapping, like, tournaments, conventions, various things that I did. E3, we watched all of those back already, you know? So, no, I don't think that I'm going to randomly be reacting to travel vlogs anytime soon. I'm not considering moving any members goal at this point. I'm not. I think what's going to happen is what happened last month. So what happened last month? We started off the month where the members goal was if we hit 400 members, I will do a react video to my Down the Rabbit Hole documentary, right? That was the goal. First half of the month last month, flat. We got maybe 20, 30 new members, and then it started to die out. It was going backwards the wrong way. Then what happened? I did DSP Reacts to Down the Rabbit Hole Wings of Redemption. During that stream, we got a ton of members, and over the course of the next 1 to 2 weeks, boom, our members went skyrocketed by like 50, right? Now, what happened? I didn't do any React content for about 2 weeks now. Next week, I'm doing the next one, which is me actually reacting to my own video. Likely what's going to happen is people are going to watch the video and be like, wow, I liked it, or wow, I didn't like it. If there's enough people who liked it, they're going to be like, oh, well, I want to see the next one happen, and then they're going to become a member, right? That's what I'm thinking. That's what happened last time. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'm not promising anything, that's for sure. Would I ever do Life is Strange Remastered? If I ever did, it would just be the original trilogy. I know they remastered like the other one too before the storm. I hated that, but I don't think there's any demand for that, you know? Narrative-based games, what's the point of replaying it when you know it's going to be exactly the same narrative? There's no variation or difference. Like, one of the coolest things about Life is Strange is that there's an ongoing air of mystery. What happened to the girl who vanished? What's up with these supernatural powers? If you have all the answers when you start playing, what's the point? You kind of spoiled the narrative, right? Will I ever play a Twisted Metal game? Nathan, I don't know if they'll ever have a new one ever again. Remember when I first started on YouTube, they did actually reboot Twisted Metal, and it failed miserably. It flopped completely. So, could I get a super chat command? What would I need that for? What would I need a super chat command for? Did the Lego game Match exceed my expectations? I thought it was pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. And the only disappointment that I have with it is that, number one, the gameplay is just not challenging at all. You know, it's very piss easy. That's the kind of game that, okay, it's nighttime, you came home from school or work, you're tired, you're exhausted, you just want to gel. You want to chill. You make yourself a drink, you sit there sipping your drink, and you're just playing it, and you let your mind just relax, melt away as you do menial repetitive things, and you get Lego pieces and you unlock stuff in the game, right? There's no thought that goes into it, playing that game. So, yeah, but that's the thing, like, is that riveting for a viewing audience? Probably not, right? It's probably not the most riveting thing to watch on a stream. But it was still chill fun for me. But I did like it. Do I shower with cold or hot water? mostly hot. If it's very warm or I'm overheated, I'll take a cold shower, but mostly hot. Can we move back to Twitch? Fuck no. Never. Will I play the Uncharted 4 PS5 remaster? Unlikely. I don't see the point. It looked amazingly good on PS4. Why do you need to play it on PS5? If someone did play it on PS4 and they want to do the best version, play it on PS5 by all means, but there's no reason to replay the game that was already perfect on PS4. Just like they're remaking The Last of Us 1. What are they, fucking stupid? The answer is yes, they are. What was my favorite JRPG? No, my first JRPG, the first one I ever watched anyone play was Dragon Quest 1, which was called Dragon Warrior in the US. My cousin owned it, and I watched him play it. The first one I ever played was Final Fantasy 2 in the US, which is Final Fantasy 4 worldwide. That's the first JRPG I ever played. Zoya, no, Kat and I are not planning any vacation. We don't have any money or anything for it. No, we're not playing anything like that. I wish we could. We're not. Will I learn to build a PC? I don't think I need to. Honestly, we have to see what happens. Like I said, we're just at the precipice of now. I'm finishing up all these insanely lengthy playthroughs, and we're going to have some downtime. So, excuse me, if now I were to look to upgrade my setup, maybe it would work before, you know, big high-profile new stuff starts hitting in, say, June. But we'd have to figure out what can happen. Like realistically, what components would people be willing to donate, right? Or do I have to do maybe a special event or two to raise funds to buy some components or buy a pre-built? I don't know. We have to talk these options out soon and try to figure out the answers, because I don't have the answers, you know? Did I ever play a JRPG I hated? I'm trying to think. Like back in the day, there were some JRPGs that were kind of boring. Like there was a JRPG on Genesis I played once. I can't remember what it was, but I just felt it was too basic and boring to hold my interest and make me want to play it at length. I don't know if there's ever one I hated, but some of them just aren't as riveting as others, right? If the plot's not interesting, or if the plot's very generic, like other ones. It would be sick if I built a PC on stream. It's easier than the early 2000s. Is it? Is it just like boop, 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 done? Building everything? I don't know how I would do that unless I rearrange my whole area here. Like if I move the camera and mic and everything, because obviously I can't do it here on my lap. I don't have like a good table or anything I could put here to build it. Unless maybe what I could do is get several folding tables and put them over here next to me and try to build it next to me here. Maybe? I don't know. Again, it depends. We're not even too close to that stage yet. We'd have to decide how I could even get components or whatever. I mean, obviously, the easiest method is a pre-built. The easiest method is finding a pre-built, ordering it, and just getting it ready to go. That way, I only have to worry about installing the programs I need, setting them up again. Like, I get the feeling resetting up OBS and relearning OBS, because I've been using the same version of OBS for a very long time. So trying to relearn this program when it has a new version and all new, I'm going to have to do all the shit over again. That's going to be a pain in the ass, I feel. But what are the chances I'm going to get a pre-built? Pre-builts are expensive, especially today when the components are so scarce, right? It could be a daunting task to be able to afford one. So it would have to be like, you know, several streams of raising funds to try to raise thousands of dollars to buy a good pre-built. That would be my new capture streaming rig, you know? I don't know. We'd have to talk about it. How was Din Din? There is no Din Din. I mean, I'm having dinner after this. Did the people who said they would give me a PC contact me recently? There was no one who outright said they were going to buy me a PC. That never happened. Last year, what happened is, last summer, a lot of people were very generous, and they wanted to help me out because they saw that a lot of my shit around me was falling apart, and I couldn't afford to upgrade it. So someone donated a new laptop, because my laptop was on its like last legs. Someone donated this chair, okay? Someone donated an Xbox Series X. You know, it was a lot of donations, which was very nice. And I upgraded my setup. Now, while all that was happening, there was a few other people behind the scenes who contacted me and said, hey, we're willing to help you with a new PC, whether it's you want to build your own or, you know, get one. You know, we'd be willing to step up and help. And at that point, I basically told those people, there's about 3 or 4 people actually behind the scenes who I had spoken with about it. And I was like, I appreciate it, but at that point, it made absolutely, positively no sense whatsoever to do it, because I had so many games that were coming out and hot games that were happening. And at that point, I thought maybe I would do it near the end of the year, but then what ended up happening, February and March happened, which was some of the busiest gaming times we've ever had. So I didn't want to mess with it till we got to a point of downtime. Now we are actually finally hitting that point of downtime. Right now it's happening. It's about to start, okay? Excuse me. So, that being said, so far I've spoken at least to one person, and that one person said that they have components that they would be able to donate, a few components. Although, admittedly, when they said this to me, I was like, I don't even know what those components are. Like, I don't know if they're good or not, or if they're good enough for what I need to do. I have no idea. I'm not, I haven't looked into it yet. The way I see it is, starting this upcoming week, right? Elden Ring will finally be done. All these lingering playthroughs will be done. Now we're heading into new content, WWE and whatever else I choose to play alongside it, new late night chill content, and this is essentially downtime content. This is not giant high profile new release shit. So now we can sit down and start to talk. All of us on streams and everything. We can have discussions about what is it I'm looking for a modern PC? What's the strength of a processor I need? What kind of a GPU am I looking for? I don't know any of these answers. I haven't been in the market for a PC in 8 years. So I need to talk with you guys, and we have to hash it out and then see, gee, out of the stuff that's available to me, things that have already been offered to be donated, and maybe I could do some fundraising streams, or maybe just fundraise to buy a pre-built that has everything I need. I don't know. We'll get there, but we're not there yet. We're just on the edge of getting to that point, okay? So I've talked to one person who said they have a few components they can donate, but I don't know if it's really what I need yet. I haven't looked into it, okay? Okay. Donkey Kong's Furry Ding Dong just tipped me $25.01 and says, ever consider putting Big Brother with the King where you have live cameras in every room of your house and watch your entire life? Well, first of all, I'm not putting that name on my leaderboard. That's ridiculous. But I will say, Donkey Kong Furry Ding Dong. There you go. Thank you for the tip. That gets us to the Tier 1 tips goal for today, which is excellent because it was insanely slow for Star Wars earlier. And I appreciate that. Let me get the gunner glasses on for you. Okay? Now, at one point, back when I lived in Connecticut, essentially every day you guys saw my setup, right? Like, I would tell you guys what I was doing. I would do a vlog very frequently. I toured my house, right? So basically when I lived in Connecticut, you guys kind of saw that. When I first moved here, I actually was doing frequent vlogs and things around the house. Remember, I would do things in my kitchen. I would do things in the dining room, videos, in different rooms and stuff. And actually, originally when I first moved here, it was my intention that moving to a bigger home would allow me to have more filming space to do different series and projects. I actually was thinking about doing a gaming news show. I was going to sit in front of a desk in my garage with a green screen, and I was going to do gaming news every day. All right, that was one of the ideas I had. What ended up happening was, after I moved here, for some odd reason, a lot of the attitude about me on the internet changed. A lot of toxic people came out of the woodwork to make my life a living hell. And essentially, every time that I put out a video in my house, it was about, let's microanalyze everything in the video to make toxic shit about Phil. I had people literally saying things like, oh, Phil streams, and every day he asks for contributions on his streams, but he has a $300 coffee maker. Actually, they lied. They actually said it was like a $500 coffee maker in my kitchen. They actually said things like that. Like, what? So it came to a point where it was like, I liked sharing everything about my life with everyone on the internet, and now I completely regret it. I do. Because as much as I had fun doing it, it ended up becoming so toxic and negative and just everything used against me and twisted in a really fucked up way that I just had no desire to do that anymore. If you haven't noticed, as I told you guys, over the last not few years anymore, at this point it's like almost 5 years, okay, since I became a full-time streamer, this is what you get. The setup, the office, the studio, whatever you want to call this room, this is what you get. The content I make in here, me in front of a camera in here, this is what you get. Outside of this room, I'm no longer in business. You see what I'm saying? I created what's called a work-life balance so that once I leave this office, everything outside of this room has nothing to do with what I'm doing in here. I have a separation of my job, my work, and my personal life. And let me tell you, my life has dramatically improved since I did that. I get downtime outside of this office where I don't have to worry about constantly making videos and content. I don't have to think about being harassed for content that I'm putting out that has to do with my personal life, right? So I know you're kind of joking, Donkey Kong's furry ding dong, asking about me putting Big Brother cameras in my whole house. I know people have actually, I've heard people have done that before. They wire their whole house, have cameras, and people watch them everywhere they go, and they make content, and they fucking make money doing it. No. You know, absolutely not. Having that separation of personal life and having an actual private life from my work has been great. It's created peace of mind. It's created a way to relax outside of this, and never having to worry about that shit is great. I'll be honest with you guys. I liked doing DSP Tries It for as long as I did, until it became a huge hassle, okay? I'm getting food, okay? Do I want to really set up a fucking camera and sit down and eat the food? I just want to eat. I just want to fucking eat. So now, instead of doing DSP Tries It, where I'm sitting in my dining room with a camera like an asshole, I'll do Feasting with the King. Have a meal in here every once in a while, share that with you on a live stream, and it's way better. Seriously. So, that's what I mean. Like, no, I absolutely don't want to do that crazy shit. I know there's other people out there who do it. No, I don't want to do that. The separation of my work and life has been great for me, for peace of mind and everything, and I'm not doing that crap anymore. Okay. All right, let's see here. I'm well aware there are people on Twitch who do that stuff. Yeah, someone just said that. There's people on Twitch who do that shit. They film themselves sleeping. No, it's not happening. Pirate King says, I say I'm a variety streamer, but all my content's the same. Wrong. First of all, I do a wide variety of gameplay content. I play pretty much every genre out there, with a few exceptions. I don't usually play sports or racing games that often, or puzzle games. But any other kind of game, it's fair game, right? I also do a daily podcast, completely different from doing the gaming. And then I do other variety content. I do marathons. I'm doing React content that's I'm implementing into my stuff. So your statement is wrong, okay? Maybe I'm not as varied as you want, but I am varied. I am a variety content creator. And if you don't like that, don't watch. If you want, you know, if you're so upset with the content I put out, you don't have to sit here and hate watch. There you go. Oh, let's see. What was the scariest game I've ever played? Oh, I don't know. The game that scared me the most overall was probably Resident Evil 1 in the 90s when I played it, because it was the first survival horror game I ever had exposure to. I didn't know games could scare you. Seriously, not a single game before that had ever scared me in any way. And I'm playing Resident Evil and I'm like shitting myself. Like shaking, actually shaking when stuff is happening. Because it startled me or scared me. Like, oh my God, it's like a horror movie. Probably that. I don't think I'll ever have that same replication of the original. You know what I mean? There's been some really creepy, scary games. Visage last year was one really scary game for me. But all in all, in general, I don't get that scared by games anymore. So. Even though I haven't played many of them on channel, do I have a favorite sports or racing game, says Hoth Veteran? I prefer more arcadey style racing games. Probably like Mario Kart would be my favorite racing series ever. Although I have liked other games over time, it's not much that I've gone back to. I'd say the only other game outside of Mario Kart that I've consistently gone back and played is Forza Horizon, right? I played the last 3 of them. Sports, I'm not a sports guy, so even when I play a Madden or an NBA 2K, it's usually kind of like just a quick experience to do variety for my content. It's not anything I'm overly enjoying or anything, you know? If I was into sports, I'd probably like it a lot more. Cronin Jr. says, you played Outlast like a champ. That game to me is the scariest game out there. Well, if you're afraid of the dark and jump scares, fuck yeah, that game is real creepy. And when you're getting stalked and there's no way to fight back and you just have to hide and the creepy fuckers or mutated freaks are coming at you. Woo, yeah, definitely. But again, I'm kind of desensitized to it. I've played a lot of horror games now. When I played Dead Space 1 in 2008, I was legitimately scared. I think it comes through in the videos because I didn't play a lot of horror games up to that point. And it was the first horror game I'd played in so long, and I'm playing it. I was like, dude, this game is scaring me badly. With the mutations and shit coming out at you, like, oh my God. For sure. I played Ghostwire Tokyo and did a full playthrough Prisoner. It's live right now on the channel. You can check it out. I actually just finished it a few weeks ago. AMC says, what was my initial emotion and thought when the vest streak ended? Basically, when it ended, I was like, wow, finally. Seriously, like, it wasn't more like, oh, man, I'm disappointed. It was like, damn, finally. It took that long, because it lasted months, remember? That vest streak was insane how long it lasted. I was hitting a tip skull every stream for several months. It was insanity how long it lasted. And it was kind of more of like, honestly, it was more of like, okay, it's kind of a relief because every stream was becoming about, oh, gotta hit the tip skull, gotta hit the tip skull. That's all anyone would talk about at the end of the streams, and the playthroughs were suffering because of it. So I was actually a little relieved that the pressure was kind of off when the vest streak ended, honestly. Will I ever replay Dead Space? I have. I've replayed it multiple times, so. And now they're remaking it. What do I feel about the gaming industry selling itself out like Ubisoft and Square trying to get bought out? If they feel that ultimately it's in their best interest and they'll be able to make better games, then I'm all for it. If they're doing it to make a buck and cash out, then I'm not for it, you know? Maybe some of these companies need bigger budgets and need better backing, and they feel being bought out by a bigger company is the way to do it. I don't know. I really feel like Ubisoft lost their way over the years. I mean, at one point, they could do no wrong. They were putting out so many variety of games, and then they just fell into this mold that every 1 to 2 years, they'd pump out the same kind of game over and over and over. And now everyone knows the Ubisoft open world formula and is tired of it, you know? What is my most anticipated game that I will replay during the summer? Is it Zelda? Man, you know, the three that I keep saying, okay, the big three that I keep mentioning are as follows. Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, right? Chrono Trigger, Earthbound. It's been about 10 years since I played them, roughly 9 to 10 years each. I think some I played in 2012 and some I played in 2013. Those are probably the top three for me. I love Super Mario World, but didn't I recently play it? Didn't I play Super Mario World when I got my Switch and I got the Nintendo Online service? Didn't they add Super Mario World and I did a full playthrough of it? I think I did. If that's the case, I don't think I want to replay it when that soon. Even though I love the game. Super Mario World absolutely is my favorite platformer of all time. I love it to death. But I don't think people would want to see that again right away if I just played it a few years ago. Those other games have been almost a decade. So now of those three games, which do I want to play the most? Oh, shit. Let me give you guys some frame of reference. Zelda. Link to the Past was my first Zelda game. I never played one before then. I fell in love with the franchise after playing it. I love the game so effing much. The music, the art design, the challenge of the dungeons, the puzzles, but the combat was also challenging. The open world exploration, the things you could find if you explored, right? That was really the first game I ever played that had a full open world, and if you spent time exploring, you would find optional items. It blew my mind. I was like, whoa, I'm dicking around over here. I found a heart? Holy shit. It was really neat. So that game really has a special place in my heart. It does. Like, that's a game that was formative for me when I was young. Chrono Trigger. Outside of the Final Fantasy series that I outright loved, Chrono Trigger was like, it was kind of like, man, how can I explain it? It was a variation of Final Fantasy, but it was a completely original plot. I don't think there's a character in Chrono Trigger I dislike. I think every character you can control is an awesome character with their abilities and everything. I wouldn't even rank the characters. I think they're all that fucking good and fun to play. The plot is outstanding. The music is so cool. I love that game. And then, Earthbound. One of the most creative RPGs ever made, because at that time, it was very rare to have an RPG set in modern day, and the whole game is set in modern day. Now, the plot gets pretty fucking weird and crazy. Alright? But man, it's quirky, it's fun, it's original, it's a really cool experience. Did you know that when I was playing Earthbound, my first playthrough ever of it about 9 to 10 years ago, that's when I got a lot of hate on the internet? Do you guys remember what happened? You probably don't. A lot of you probably were not around for 10 years. I'll tell you the story quickly. So I was playing it during what I called the summer of retro, which was the summer of 2013. And during that summer, I chose to play a lot of retro games rather than modern games, all back to back. And so that was the only content I was putting out on YouTube at the time. Okay? And basically what happened was my viewership dramatically decreased. Because of that, my income dramatically decreased. Back then, I wasn't an interactive live streamer. It was all about making ad revenue on the videos. So having plummeting views meant plummeting income for me. Okay? And I essentially lashed out at the internet. All right? And I said, why are you guys not watching? I don't understand. And the feedback I got was because these games are old and boring and we don't care about them. I'm not even kidding. Like, people were shitting on the games. They weren't shitting on me. They were actually shitting on the games. Saying these games look too old. They're outdated models of games. We want to see modern stuff. We want to see new hot stuff. And I was very upset. I was. And I kind of lashed back at people on Twitter, I remember. And I was like, you got to broaden your horizons. You got to be stop being so stubborn and understand that these are the classics that all modern games have come from. If these games didn't exist to lay the groundwork, you wouldn't have your modern day Persona, right? You wouldn't have open world RPGs at all if it wasn't for Zelda, right? You wouldn't have these games. They came from these original games. And for people to hate on the classics, to me was actually like insulting. So I kind of lashed out and argued and got very argumentative with people about it on the internet. And people basically crapped all over me at the time. This is where I really started to see a first twisting of opinion against me. That people were like, no, you don't understand. You're a content creator. You got to cater to us. We want modern games and modern content. It's okay for you to do a retro game here or there, but you're doing a whole summer of it. And you're forcing this content down our throats, and we don't want it. We want modern shit. Stop playing the classics. And it pissed me off. I'm like, why can't you just take my word for it that it's good and just come and attend? The thing was, people weren't even giving it a chance. It would have been one thing if, like, oh, people watched and said they hated it. No, it was like they wouldn't even give part 1 a chance. Part 1 of the playthroughs had abnormally low views at the time. So it did actually piss me off. Now, here's the thing. Today is very different. Today, number one, I'm known as a variety content creator, not the guy who plays every new release anymore. In 10 years, a lot has changed. I'm an interactive streamer, right? Things are so different. Now, if I play Earthbound, okay, we could sit here and enjoy it. And as long as there's even if it's a small group of people, even if that small group of people will show up and support that stream, I can play whatever I want. It doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about fucking ads on YouTube, viewership on YouTube. I'm not beholden to the common YouTube audience that only wants to see the hot new viral game today and don't care about the classics. I'm happy about that. I'm happy that now I feel like I'll be able to play these games and have a much better, more positive experience today than I did 10 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, at that time, it was a very different time for content creation. And I couldn't believe the backlash I was getting for wanting to play classic content on my channel. People were shitting all over me at the time. Okay, we got a few more minutes here, guys. Will I have WWE fantasy matches next Christmas? It's a possibility. It is a possibility. Because now I'll have the game. And I miss doing the King of Christmas tournament and all that stuff. Likely that would be something that I would do during the Christmas marathon. Yeah, probably it'll happen. Yes, I did play Street Fighter Online when I lived in Connecticut. Did I ever play Final Fantasy VIII? Yes, when it was new, and I didn't like it. I got to a point in the game where the plot was overbearingly bad. The gameplay I didn't like. The only thing I liked about it was the graphics. The graphics were so much better than Final Fantasy VII that I really liked the graphics, and everything else I hated about the game. And I got to a point where there's a boss fight. There's a disc change, okay? And when the disc change happens on PlayStation 1, you're forced to save your game. So I had to save, and then at the very beginning of the next disc, there's a big boss fight. I forget who it is, some queen or witch or something you have to fight. And I fight her, and she was way overpowered. Like, she kicked my ass. I was like, oh shit, I guess I was under-leveled. I was kind of turboing through the game because I didn't like it that much. Like, damn, I guess maybe I kind of turboed through. I should have grinded a bit. So let me go grind. Oops. The game only had forced me to save right before that point. So I didn't have a chance to go back and grind at all. It was literally, you have to fight the boss, and there's no opportunity to level up. So I couldn't complete the game. I was stuck and could never keep playing it. And I was like, I'm not replaying that game. I don't like it. So I never went back and finished it. What's the last retro game I played? Like retro, old school 8-bit shit? Probably when I was playing Genesis Mini. I played a bunch. Remember, I played Castlevania Bloodlines. I played the original Sonic games. Probably that. Yeah, that was a few years ago. Yes, I'm playing God of War Ragnarok. Of course I am. Will I ever do an Ouya retrospective? Likely no. Number one, I don't have an Ouya anymore. And number two, there's not much to do much retrospectively. The games all sucked, right? They were all bad. Is there a game I enjoyed as a kid that I don't enjoy as much as an adult? Or is there a game you enjoy as an adult that you didn't like as a kid? Okay, let me think about this. It's an interesting question. And if I'm trying to remember exactly what games I played and had as a kid and owned, and then maybe I went back and played later after as I was a YouTuber, probably some of the games on the Genesis Mini were games that I had written off when they had first come out, didn't like them, but then I didn't actually end up enjoying them. Okay, here's a game that I loved as a kid and I don't like anymore, Sonic Spinball. I played Sonic Spinball as a kid. I owned the game and I played the shit out of it and loved it and mastered it. And then when I played it on Genesis Mini, I was like, this game's kind of a chore. Like, this game kind of isn't very good for how I remember it. So I think that maybe my memory, I liked it, and because I liked Sonic so much back then. But now it's kind of like, damn, I play it compared to other games, like, it ain't that good, right? I don't know if I have another, if I have an example of the opposite, though. Why do I think Guitar Hero died? Massive oversaturation of the market. Because Guitar Hero, in its essence, is you have a guitar and a game where you play music. And all they ever had to do was make endless amounts of DLC for it with minor tweaks. Instead, they said Guitar Hero 2, Guitar Hero 3, Guitar Hero World Tour, Guitar Hero Aerosmith, Guitar Hero Beatles, Guitar Hero... Actually, it was Rock Band Beatles, but I think you get my point. Instead of adopting more of a episodic release model, it was keep selling the same game a million times, but it's the same fucking game. How many times are you going to keep rebuying it? And then they realized the real profitability wasn't in the software, it was in the hardware. But how many guitars do you need in your fucking house, right? So it was incredibly popular at first, and it took off in a big way at first, but once everyone had already played it and had a guitar and everything, now the profitability was gone, and they couldn't figure out how to maintain the model, and that's why there was a whole market crash for it. It wasn't the games were bad, it was the business model didn't make sense, you see? Do I see gaming one day being full motion controls or VR or getting rid of controllers entirely, says Hoth Veteran? It could be. It very well could be, but it has to be viable. And what I mean by that is they tried this with the Kinect. They tried it with the PS Move. None of it is viable. You need a giant fucking open space, right? You need to have accurate lighting. You need to have the camera positioned properly. It's not viable. Most people, when they game, don't have a fucking theater that they game in, right? It's your living room. It's a side room, an office, a bedroom. That's where you're gaming. You don't have this optimal solution to do motion control style games. VR, to some extent, it could work. I know that for a fact, having the PS VR for when I did. But even then, we saw the motion controls didn't always work, didn't have enough space, and it made me sick to my stomach sometimes, sweating profusely under the goddamn thing. Yeah, basically this technology could eventually become a thing to replace this. But we are so far out from that. I feel we're like 20 years away from replacing this. I really do. They've tried it. They failed miserably multiple times. Every time they try to bring back the Kinect camera or the PS Move waggle remotes or the Wiimote, it doesn't work. It fails. Prisoner, I don't know what Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song is. I have to look into it. Because at first I thought it was a Vampire the Masquerade RPG style game, which is what they used to be. But now people are telling me that actually it's like an investigation game. It has something to do with murder mystery or something. I have to look into it and see what it is. Alright guys, I think we're going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you for the impromptu audience here. I know you guys kind of showed up when I finished Lego Star Wars, impromptu early. It was a fun Q&A. I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to upload this to the channel. If someone missed it, they're going to get to watch it on demand. Thank you so much to Donkey Kong's Furry Ding Dong for the tip, because without that, it would have been one of my slowest streams ever, contributions-wise, and it's because Lego basically became a dead game after a while. Not much you can do about that. But thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the Q&A. Awesome.